The forest has always been my sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world fades into a gentle whisper of leaves and wind. I've spent years trekking through its hidden trails, feeling more at home among the ancient trees than anywhere else. But one trip, last fall, changed everything. It started like any other solo hike there. Air was crisp. The autumn colors were a blaze of gold and crimson, and the solitude was perfect. I was deep in a part of the national forest I'd never explored before, miles from any marked path. When I heard it, it wasn't the cry of a bird or the rustle of a squirrel. It was a soft, whimpering sound, filled with a distress that tugged at my heart. My first thought was a lost puppy or maybe a fawn separated from its mother. I pushed through a thicket of ferns, following the sound, and what I saw made me freeze in my tracks. Curled up at the base of a giant sequoia was a small creature, unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was covered in thick, dark, brown fur, and its face was startlingly human-like, with large, expressive, and terrified eyes. It couldn't have been more than 2 feet tall. My mind raced, trying to process it. A bear cub. No, the face was all wrong. A monkey? Impossible. Not here. Every logical explanation evaporated, leaving only one wild, unbelievable possibility. It looked up at me, whimpering, and I saw that its tiny leg was caught in a cruel, rusted bear trap. The sight shattered my disbelief with a wave of pity and anger. Forgetting my fear, I slowly approached, speaking in a calm, soothing voice. "It's okay, little guy. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help." The creature watched me, its intelligent eyes tracking my every move. I could see the fear in them, but also a glimmer of something else, a desperate hope. Kneeling down, I carefully worked on the trap's jaw. It was old and stiff, and my fingers grew raw as I struggled to pry them apart. All the while, the little creature remained impossibly still, only letting out small whimpers of pain. Finally, with a loud groan of metal, the trap sprang open. The little one pulled its leg free, which was bleeding but thankfully not broken. I expected it to bolt, to disappear back into the wilderness it came from. But it didn't. Instead, it did something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It limped over to me, wrapped its long, furry arms around my leg, and squeezed. It was a hug, a genuine, heartfelt hug of gratitude. A wave of emotion washed over me. I gently patted its head, its fur surprisingly soft. In that moment, I wasn't a hiker, and it wasn't a monster from folklore. We were just 2 beings in the woods, connected by an act of kindness. I sat with him for a while, sharing a piece of my granola bar, which he nibbled on cautiously. He stayed close, never straying more than a few feet away. I called him Buddy. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, a strange feeling crept over me. The forest, which had felt so peaceful just hours before, suddenly seemed watchful. The air grew heavy, and an unnerving silence fell. The birds stopped singing. The wind died down. It was the kind of stillness that comes before a storm, but there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Buddy seemed to feel it too. He stopped nibbling his granola and pressed himself against my side, his little body trembling. He started making low, guttural noises in his throat, looking nervously into the darkening woods around us. He clutched my jacket sleeve, his grip surprisingly strong, his big eyes wide with a primal fear I could feel in my own bones. He knew something was coming. His instincts were screaming a warning that mine were only just beginning to register. The hair on my arms stood on end. I had the distinct, chilling sensation of being watched by something unseen. That's when I heard it, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through the ground and into my chest. It was a call, but not from any animal I could identify. It was powerful, guttural, and filled with a sense of authority and anger. Buddy whimpered and buried his face in my lap. He was terrified. The call came again, closer this time. It was a sound that didn't belong to our world, a sound that spoke of immense size and strength. Panic started to set in. This wasn't just a curious animal. This was a parent looking for its child, and it sounded furious. I knew I had to go. Staying here was not an option. But I couldn't just leave, Buddy. I looked down at the trembling creature, holding on to me for dear life. The parent's call echoed a third time, so close now that the trees themselves seemed to shake. Buddy looked up at me, and in his eyes, I saw not just fear, but thunapel. He tugged on my sleeve, pointing with his little hand back, toward the direction of the call, then pushed weakly against my leg, urging me to leave. He was telling me to save myself. It was one of the most selfless things I have ever witnessed. My heart ached, but I knew he was right. I gave his head one last pat. "You be safe, Buddy," I whispered. Another earth-shaking roar ripped through the air, and that was all the encouragement I needed. I scrambled to my feet and ran. I didn't look back. I just ran, fueled by adrenaline and a terror so profound it felt like a physical weight. I crashed through bushes and leaped over fallen logs. The roars and the sound of something massive moving through the trees chasing me all the way back to the marked trail. I never stopped running until I saw the familiar glint of my car in the trailhead parking lot. I threw my gear in the back, jumped in, and locked the doors, my heart pounding against my ribs like a drum. As I drove away, back towards civilization, I couldn't shake the image of Buddy, so small and brave, facing the wrath of his parent to give me a chance to escape. I don't know what happened after I left. I can only hope that he was reunited with his family, and that my help was seen as just that help. I haven't been back to that part of the forest. Maybe I never will. But sometimes, when the wind blows just right, I can almost hear that deep, booming call in the distance. And I always think of Buddy, the little creature who showed me that compassion. And courage can be found in the most unexpected places. Thank you for listening to my story. If you found this as incredible as I did, please consider subscribing for more tales from the wild. Stay safe out there.